Have you been following the national news about real estate? The sky is falling. Hey there, welcome. It's Les Solgrove. This is Simply Des Moines Stats weekly market update, all that's happening in the Des Moines real estate market in central Iowa and Des Moines. And this past week has been quite a week. It's been spring break for a lot of agents and a lot of buyers and sellers. So there's been maybe a little slowdown this past week in business. We've also went through the daylight savings time, which we're going to talk about briefly here in a second. And also first day of spring has hit us. So we are doing lots of things right now. So let's jump right in and kind of see what's happening this week in real estate. On the dashboard, you'll notice a couple things here. This is week 11 for 2022 and 1,667 homes for sale. That's down from 1,683 last week. And that's kind of the trajectory that we've been on the last several weeks. Homes for sale and sale pendings are going farther and farther apart. We're currently at almost 3,100 homes in the sale pending process. We're still in a even market for new homes, both new construction, new homes as well as condo townhomes, but not by much for sure. So the other thing, the big movers this past week were days on market. We saw both the existing homes and the existing townhomes, condos, dropped dramatically this past week. We went to 5 days on the market from 7 last week and 4 days on the market from 8 the previous week for condo townhomes. And then that made overall homes days on the market drop from 13 down to 10. So it's been quite a busy week here. So the homes that are selling are basically the ones that are coming on the market fresh. And so that's kind of driving that. So I mentioned a minute ago that, daylight savings time has hit this last weekend, and there's always some adjustment to get, everybody's kind of clocks, both body clock and physical clocks all reset. And, there's some talk both nationally as well as statewide about maybe doing away with daylight savings time or making it permanent. And I guess, there's a lot of conversation about that. And what I decided to do was I ran a little bit of a script here and I created this graphic here that kind of shows you how daylight savings time looks in our marketplace in Des Moines in central Iowa here. So this is the actual time that the sun comes up in January just before 8 a.m. And then of course right here is where we have our daylight savings time, where we spring ahead. We pick up an hour, both, for the springtime, and then in the fall we push our time zone back, or time change back to an hour backwards. And the whole idea here is that they want to do away with daylight savings time, maybe, or make it permanent, and kind of see what happens with our marketplace and in our communities. And really the big argument I can tell you is there's two sides to this. There are those of us who want to have the sun out until almost 9 o'clock in the summertime, which if we did away with daylight savings time, that would be about 8 o'clock p.m. Or if we made daylight savings time a permanent fixture in our marketplace, which we tried back in the 70s and it didn't last, then that would mean that, we would end up with some time here. Well, let's just show you here. This is the graphic here that shows you what if we put daylight savings time as a permanent change here. So again, we would still have our daylight until about 9 o'clock at night. But the problem is, and this is what everybody's having some problems with, is that for 51 days in January to late February, early March, and basically from mid-November, so mid-November till mid-February, for a total of 99 days, the sun wouldn't even come up until after 8 a.m. And that's where the challenge is, because we maybe not think about it in the business world of being a big deal, but I can tell you that kids going to school and things going on, right at 8 o'clock in the morning, that's going to be a big issue. So I predict that it's going to be very controversial, no kidding, And also, I'm not sure that it's going to, maybe make its, make it permanent, because I think we're just going to end up having all kinds of problems with that. But anyway, if you have any comments, what are your thoughts? I'd like to know. Please leave your comments and any questions or anything you'd have to say about that in the chat below, and we'll talk about it maybe in the future. But that's the proposal here for daylight savings time. So at the beginning of the show, I said, hey, the sky is falling. And national news, it seems like all they can do here this past week is talk about how existing home sales fell in February. And what's making this happen right now, why all the attention to this, is that the national news follows real estate market statistics a little bit slower because they're waiting for all the national numbers to come in. And so basically what we're hearing about February here, late March, is about the right time of year. So as of Thursday and Friday, we started seeing a lot of news reports, both print and online, and television reports and news reports about how existing home sales fell in February. Oh my gosh, they're down 7%, 6 million units down in February. That's according to the National Association of Realtors. Forbes magazine also was out there saying that home sales are falling as affordability concerns raise. And there's a new term, and I'll be talking about this in future weeks. It's called shelter inflation, and it's the cost of housing. That's really a topic that we'll be trying to cover here in the coming weeks. But shelter inflation is a word that you're probably starting to hear quite a bit here lately, and you're going to hear a lot more about it. And of course, then this website says housing market predictions 2022, will it crash soon? There's an old adage in the newspaper business that bad news sells newspapers. And I think that's kind of where this is coming from here. I really don't think we're going to see a real estate crash or a bubble as per se. And near the end of the month here, I've got an article for my year-end monthly report. I'm going to talk about, the bubble and kind of dispel some rumors on that. So I hope you'll stick around the end of the month for that report there. So let's try to answer the question, is the sky falling? And I decided I would look at local market real estate numbers here. And what we have here is a graphic of all the homes that are currently in pending status. The black line is 2021. The red bar here is all the homes in sale pending status so far this year through 2021, through as of yesterday, March 20th. And it is true, we are behind, just a little bit behind where we were last year. Now, keep in mind, we're still very, very active. But is this a sign that our market is crashing or that the sky is falling? I don't think so. If we look at, for example, some of the factors that are causing the sale pendings to be down. Number one, we have such a low count of homes to sell to begin with. Just logic says if you don't have enough homes to sell, you're not going to sell as many homes, or not as many are going to go under contract. And that's kind of what I'm thinking is happening here. You can see again, the black line is 2021, the red is 2022. This is all homes. Days on the market, it's kind of following the other direction. We talked about this at the beginning of the show. We are currently at 10 days on market overall. That's all homes are 10 days on market. And, that's from last year at this time, we were about 12 days on market. So we're actually selling how fast the homes are selling. They're selling faster. They're staying on the market shorter periods of time. And that kind of goes against this whole idea that something is wrong with the real estate market here. Months of inventory. Again, this one, if there's any indication here, this one might just say that, we're pretty close to where we were last year. Months of inventory basically says if no new homes came on the market, how long would it take to sell all of our current inventory? And it's 1.2 months of inventory right now versus 1.1 months a year ago. So, 0.1 of a month is literally a couple of days. So we're really, really close to where we were last year in our months of inventory. To give you an idea as well, we are actually ahead of last year for closed sales. We've closed so far this year 2,571 versus 2,515 at this same date last year. So is our sales down? Technically, no, they're not down in the Des Moines real estate market in central Iowa. Activity is struggling just a little bit, only because we don't have the homes for sale. So I don't pull this graphic out very often, but it's kind of an interesting one. This is the offers accepted graphic, and it's based on a rolling 30-day period. What that means is I look at every day, I pull the set of numbers of how many homes were had offers accepted on them in the last 30 days. And the reason I pull that number is so I can come up with that months of inventory calculation. I need to know how many homes went under contract in a month versus how many homes we currently have on the market. But this graphic is just that rolling 30 days of accepted offers. And what it shows you is that in January, it was just under 1,000 kind of on average each, as every day rolls ahead, 30 days in a 30-day rolling period. We were on a pretty steady stream, especially after we got through about the third week of January, because you remember January was kind of a little bit snowy, a little bit. But once we got into February, the market really started to just really take off in a pretty progressive manner, every week. And because it's, this looks at every single day on a 30-day rolling, it does kind of have these little dips that show what the weekends would have been. But until we got into March, once we got into March, the 30 days accepted has kind of flattened off here. As you can see, we've really not increased above about 1,550. If this track was on target here, we'd be around 1,700 or 1,750 homes in the sale pending or in the offers accepted. And so that tells me that maybe there is a little bit of a slowdown so far this month of March. But remember, the articles and all the talk in the national news was what happened in February. So they don't even know about this yet. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what their thoughts are about that. So anyway, if you want to see kind of the market at a glance, and again, this is a graphic that I don't put out very often. It will be at DesMoinesMarketValues.com with all the other graphics. And this will just kind of show you here, right across the top here is the red. This is all properties, so new construction, existing homes, condo townhomes, everything. Just gives you an idea all the way across where we are in all the different categories that I track, and then broken down by existing homes, existing condo townhomes, and then the new construction. And this graphic here will be on, like I say, at DesMoinesMarketValues.com. It'll be a graphic that you can actually open up on your browser and kind of zoom in. However, I will tell you that this week I'm actually going to give you a bonus. All of these graphics, all of these little cells here, I'm going to individually capture. Let's go back to that. I'm going to individually capture, and they will be in this week's graphics as bonus graphics. So you won't have to zoom in on every one of those individual little cells right there. You'll be able to just simply click on this. You go to DesMoinesMarketValues.com, and either on the web browser or on your mobile device, you'll be able to see week 11 graphics with bonus graphics. So there'll be over 40 graphics on this week's this week's graphics. So anyway, that's pretty much it this week for the show. Next week we'll talk about something else that's kind of coming up, and I haven't quite decided what that is yet. So I hope you'll join me. Again, this is Les Solgrove via Realtors. Thanks for joining me every week, and I hope you'll like my Facebook page, my YouTube channel, and subscribe. And don't stop giving me all the comments and questions each week. So that's what makes this show even better. So until then, take care, and we'll see you all again next week.